Would you like to get that one back and fight her as champion?
You know, as much as I would like to have the rematch, I don't think it would be fair at this moment because she is 1-2 at strawweight since we last fought, and there are so many girls putting so much work and getting up the ranks that I don't think it would be fair for her to just bypass everybody. But you know how the UFC is, eventually it's gonna happen, so I just hope that, the girls that have been working on the division and climbing up the ranks get a chance before she does. But when it happens, because I know it will, I'll be happy to fight her. The person that I would really like to fight again would definitely be Rose, because she did a very nice act of kindness to me by going to Rio to defend her belt. She had no obligation to do that. And if she ever wants to fight again for the belt, I know she's figuring some stuff out, but if she wants to do it, I'll be happy to go to Denver and do it at her home.
And before I get to Cesar Ferreira, him against Robert Whittaker, who do you think would win the middleweight title?
I think Robert Whittaker is very good. I think he's able to adapt he's able to adapt to different opponents. He's fast, he's tough. He took some time off from his last fight, so I think his head and his chin and his brain, let's put it that way, his brain is he's recovered from all the blows of Yoel. And it's gonna be a great fight, but I think Robert is gonna pull it off for sure.
First off, when you look at this fight, RDA, great job. He's got the hardest schedule in MMA. It's unbelievable if you go back and look at who he fought. I mean, he fought Khabib before Khabib mattered, before people understood how good Khabib was. He just fought Kamaru Usman, one fight removed from that being a world title fight. Now he goes right into Kevin Lee. This is just off the top of my head. This is just the last matter of fights, okay? All the hammers in between. The Eddie Alvarez is in a couple of different weight classes, really hard schedule, and he goes out there and has a really hard fight with Kevin Lee. When I watched that fight, and full biasness here, okay? This is not news or ESPN chill. Personal. I'm on my personal time. With full biasness of a Kevin Lee supporter, it's very hard to not look at that fight in hindsight and go, wait a minute. Kevin Lee moves into a weight class that he's never done before and that he openly says is not my weight class. And as a matter of fact, my weight class is not yet identified. It's 165 pounds. And then he goes into a 5-round atmosphere. That is a tremendous ask and a tremendous ballsy and courageous move by Kevin Lee. And I tell you guys that because many people, they aren't going to say that. Right? What happens when your fighter wins? You pat him on the back. What happens when the other fighter loses? You tease him. Tough business if you're a fighter. Fair play by a fan. Tough way to go through life if you're a fighter. So Kevin Lee goes up a weight class into a division that he said, this isn't even where I want to be, but this is what is the division, so I got to go be there. And then he goes into 5 rounds. And I offer that because I'm not sure we've seen anybody yet that can beat Kevin Lee in a 3-round fight. And when you go into these 5-round situations, okay, it does have to beg the question, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? If it's a title fight, and the rules say title fights have to be fight, I understand it. If it's a top contenders fight, I don't know about that. I don't know. And I do have sour grapes. So before you guys write it in the comments section, yeah, you got me. Fully admit, I'm making a bit of an excuse here for my guy. That's true. But I think my question is a little bit fair. And I think my commentary that Kevin Lee moving up in weight and then jumping into a 5-round atmosphere, certainly in hindsight, you concede with me that I'm right. If you're going to jump up in weight classes, the basic protocol is you test it out first. Unless you're moving right into a world title fight, you generally would test that out first. You would not go to the top of the bill and have to do 25 minutes. Also, if you were to just look at the first 15 minutes of the fight, I think we have a different outcome. And now you can play this game against me as well. I'm aware of that, right? If we had 10-round fights, Every ranking of every division would be completely different. It changes the game. It changes the strategy. It becomes a totally different sport. Some guys are sprinters, some guys are marathon guys. I understand that, but when you look at that fight for what it was, this was a dog fight. And Kevin Lee, I thought in many ways, fire away, I thought in many ways he showed he was the better fighter. Particularly if it was a 3-round atmosphere, which in fairness it should have been when a guy is going up to a new weight for the first time. RDA does a fantastic job in many different positions, but if you end up getting caught in a full mount with a fully sweaty former world champion in RDA on top of you, you're stuck. I don't give a damn who you are. Insert anybody you want. Put Fedor in there. It doesn't matter. You're not getting up from RDA. Ultimately, I felt that Kevin Lee lost one position. I thought the fight as a whole, there was no question in the heart. Either way. By the way, this is a little bit pro Kevin Lee video. Man, it's hard for me. As a fan, when you have a guy in there, it's hard for me. Sure. But I would never discount RDA. Okay, he did a fantastic job, and he came back and he showed resilience. I thought, though, for what the fight was, in fairness, a little bit of a bandit. I get it. I get what I'm doing here. You guys don't have to flame away. I know what I'm doing. And I know I'm being I know I'm being unfair, but I do think that I am accurate that Kevin Lee outpunched him. He certainly closed the distance better. He certainly controlled the takedowns better. Both of these guys had an extremely high pace. Ultimately, Kevin was caught in one bad position, but when it comes down to heart and grit and toughness and who can go on in there, both guys, there was no loser in that department. There was no giving up. There was no letting down. I could even see Kevin Lee when fatigue started to set in. I could see his punches not having the same snap, but he never backed down once. He was still throwing them. And RDA was the same way. RDA was hurting and fading too. This was a high-paced fight. I thought the kicks from Kevin Lee, particularly that right-sided kick, was a new weapon that he put on display. I've sparred with Kevin Lee. I know about that weapon, but I don't know that he showed that as much or at least as effective as he did in this fight. I think there were some real positive takeaways. What would I like to see next? One of three things. I'd love to see the 165-pound division. But I also love opportunity. That isn't just pro, for Kevin Lee and for all the guys that have said, I think Kamaru's even said he's interested. For all the guys that have said they're interested, it's not just for them. I just like opportunity. I would love to see 65-pound division and then move welterweight to 175. That's for me, that's a personal choice. 2, I'd like to see Kevin Lee spend a few months, eat a little bit more food, pump a little bit more weights, and grow into that weight some.
In New York, you were telling me that you want to put him in a coma. Do you regret those words?
No, I mean, I don't need to regret anything I say. It's if his team loves him and if his corner loves him, they'll know what to do when he's under the fire. Because he will be under the fire and he's gonna get badly damaged. So it's a matter of them stopping. Cause I will say sometimes he's probably too brave for his own good. And in this sport, this is not MMA. Guys actually die and guys actually take permanent damage. As a matter of fact, statistically, we have more deaths in a year than MMA has in all its time it's been in existence. So, not that I'm trying to downgrade the dangers of MMA, because any combat sport is dangerous, but this is a different thing he's entering. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for guys like him, to tell you the truth. He doesn't know how to get out of the way of a punch. He doesn't know how to slip punches. And yeah, sure, it's different kind of boxing. It's no gloves, but at the end of the day, just strikes. We can't grapple and lose time or waste time or anything. I mean, he can try to headlock me, I guess, if he wants to. I mean, I know that's part of the rules, but you're gonna get cut up before you get there. But we'll see what happens.
If you do beat him, though, will that kind of end this beef between you, Artem, Conor McGregor, and everyone in that camp?
I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I just gotta take it as it comes. It'll be nice to smack one of them around. At least one of them stepped up to the table, so it'll be nice. I mean, it's like, I don't know. The feeling I'm gonna have of just beating the shit out of any of those guys is a good feeling, it's like I don't really feel any remorse for any damage I do to him or any of the guys, really, So it'll be fun. I don't know. I can't really say what's gonna happen after. We have a press conference scheduled for next week though, so that'll be interesting as well.